Why humans judge life too quickly. Taoist story, maybe so, maybe not. This is the worst thing that could happen to me. My life is ruined. Nothing good will come from this. And sometimes, a few months later, the very thing that broke your heart quietly saves your life. Humans desperately want immediate meaning, immediate certainty, immediate judgment. We want to know instantly, is this good? Is this bad? Will this help me? Will this destroy me? But life rarely reveals its full meaning in a single moment. Imagine this. Long ago, in a quiet Chinese village surrounded by mountains and farmland, there lived an old farmer with his son. Their life was simple. Small wooden house, rice fields stretching beneath the morning mist, a single horse that helped them carry wood and supplies through the village. One morning, the horse suddenly disappeared. Villagers gathered outside the farmer's home, shaking their heads sympathetically. "What terrible luck," they said. "That horse was your livelihood." But the old farmer simply stood quietly beside the field and replied, "Maybe so, maybe not." The villagers looked confused. How could he remain so calm? The next morning, the missing horse returned, but it did not come back alone. Several wild horses followed behind it from the mountains. The villagers rushed back excitedly. "What incredible luck! You are now richer than before." "Again?" The old farmer calmly replied, "Maybe so, maybe not." Days later, the farmer's son attempted to ride one of the wild horses, but the animal threw him violently onto the ground. His leg broke badly. The villagers returned once more filled with sympathy. "How unfortunate. Your son may never walk properly again?" The old farmer listened quietly, then softly replied, "Maybe so, maybe not." Soon after, soldiers arrived in the village. War had broken out nearby. Young men were being forced into battle. Families cried as sons were taken away. But when the soldiers saw the farmer's injured son, they left him behind. And suddenly, what once appeared to be misfortune had quietly become protection. And maybe this is how life often unfolds. Humans judge moments too quickly because the mind sees only the present fragment, not the larger unfolding story. A painful breakup happens, and someone believes their life is over. Years later, they realize that relationship was slowly destroying their peace. A person loses a job and falls into fear and despair. Months later, he joins a new job which is much better than the earlier one. But in painful moments, the human mind immediately creates conclusions. This should not have happened. My future is ruined. Life is unfair. And sometimes, those thoughts create more suffering than the event itself. This is because humans crave control. The mind wants life to make sense immediately. Uncertainty feels emotionally unbearable. So the mind rushes to label every experience: good, bad, success, failure, fortune, disaster. But reality is often more mysterious than the mind's instant judgments. What appears beautiful today may carry hidden suffering. What appears painful today may quietly become transformation. The farmer understood something rare. Life unfolds in layers, and wisdom sometimes means waiting before emotionally deciding what something means. This does not mean humans should become emotionless. Pain still hurts. Loss still hurts. Disappointment is still human. But immediate mental conclusions often deepen suffering unnecessarily. Some people continue replaying painful moments for years because they decided too quickly, "This ruined my life." But life is still unfolding. The story is not finished yet. And maybe, Some of the things you currently resent will one day become the reason you grew wiser, stronger, or more peaceful. This is why awareness matters, not blind positivity, not pretending everything happens for a magical reason, simply the humility to admit, perhaps I do not fully understand this moment yet. Sometimes healing begins by loosening the mind's desperate need to judge everything immediately. Taking a slow walk in garden, looking at the flower's beauty, helping a stranger without expectation, praying softly before sleep, allowing uncertainty to exist without forcing instant conclusions. Because peace often returns when the mind stops trying to control the meaning of every experience immediately. The villagers judged every event quickly. The farmer did not. Not because he lacked emotion, but because he understood something deeper than certainty. Time reveals meanings the present moment cannot yet see. And maybe some things in your life are not fully blessings or tragedies yet. Maybe they are simply chapters whose meaning has not completely unfolded. Stop scrolling. Start living. Why humans judge life too quickly. Taoist story, maybe so, maybe not. This is the worst thing that could happen to me. And yet, sometimes the thing that breaks your heart today quietly protects your future tomorrow. Long ago, an old farmer lived peacefully with his son in a small Chinese village. One morning, their only horse disappeared. Villagers gathered sadly. "What terrible luck," they said. But the farmer calmly replied, "Maybe so, maybe not." Days later, the horse returned with several wild horses from the mountains. The villagers became excited. "What incredible luck!" Again the farmer smiled softly. "Maybe so, maybe not." Soon after, the farmer's son tried riding one of the wild horses. He fell violently and broke his leg. The villagers shook their heads again. "How unfortunate." "Maybe so, maybe not," replied the farmer. Then war arrived. Soldiers took every healthy young man from the village, but the farmer's injured son was left behind. And suddenly, what once looked painful had quietly become protection. And maybe life is unfolding in ways your mind cannot fully see yet. Stop scrolling. Start living.